Please stand for the Chair of Thanet District Council.
Right, good evening members and officers of the Council and members of the press and public. I welcome you to this annual meeting of the Council. If the fire alarm is activated, please vacate the building via the emergency exits. I would advise that if filming takes place, anybody in attendance in the public area may have their image captured. I urge anybody filming proceedings to avoid filming members of the public, particularly if there are children present. Does anyone intend to film the meeting? No? Right, thank you. Anyway, any filming or recording will not be permitted for any item of business where exempt or confidential. Information considered following the exclusion of the press and public from the meeting. Would everyone present please ensure their mobile phones are turned to silent and that they are not used to make or receive phone calls in the chamber whilst this meeting is in progress. Agenda item 1, election of chair. Are there any nominations? Councillor Scobie.
Thank you, Chair. Before I make a nomination, I just wanted to, I'm sure on behalf of everybody, thank you for your year as Chair. I know how much hard work you always put into chairing meetings, and I think you dealt with the last year with good humour. We had a couple of quite big debates on Gaza and no hate, and I think you chaired those really, really well and made sure that everybody was spoken to. So thank you very much, Chair. I would like to... Yeah. I would like to propose Councillor Owen Hughes, and if I may, Chair, if I can just say a few words, because some councillors may not know her as well as others. I met Deborah for the first time when we were both selected for Northwood in February last year, and her background, and for some of you who will probably see as she chairs the meeting, she spent 13.5 years as the National Development Officer for the Association of Speaker Clubs London, and has qualification in debating and public speaking, so I think we're going to have a very eloquent chair. Deborah is originally from Thanet, Newington, and I believe is only the 5th woman in 50 years to chair this council. Now that may be slightly wrong, because there was somebody called Laurie Smith in 1980, and the receptionist and I before this meeting were trying to work out whether Laurie Smith was a man or a woman. So you may be the 6th, but we think you're the 5th, which again is a very good achievement. I will say that I think Councillor Owen Hughes is probably going to be one of the most prepared chairs of council there's ever been. I've had a couple of conversations with Councillor Owen Hughes, and she has gone back through at least the last 6 years of council meetings, full council meetings, and watched the entire thing to understand how the rules have been implemented. So for some people that may have been in meetings over the last 6 years and been involved in all sorts of things, she's watched them and she knows. And the reason why I say at least was that she was asking me about a council meeting in 2018 and how a rule was applied. And I tell you, I'm used to debating and discussing rules of the council with Councillor Crittenden and with Councillor Everett, but our new chair is certainly going to be added to that list of people who know the rules and will enforce them. I think Councillor Owen Hughes is going to be an excellent chair. I'm delighted to propose her. And I also want to let members know that I think she's probably going to be the first chair of council, if she is obviously elected, who is going to be married, because she is due to be married to her partner. Derek is in the audience, and she's due to be married in September. So that could be quite an occasion. I'm not sure chains are allowed at weddings, but I'm sure we will all wish you success. So there we go. I so propose, Chair.
Is there a seconder? No. Any other nominations? Councillor Pugh?
Thank you, Chair. I can only apologise, Councillor Owen Hughes, if you had to watch the last 6 years of council meetings. I think we're all responsible for that mess. I would like to thank you, Chair, for what you've done over the last year. Thank you very much. I can't say it as eloquently as Councillor Scobie the Younger, as you normally call him, but I think he said it all of what we all feel in this chamber. I would like to nominate Councillor Paul Moore to be Chair of the Council. Councillor Moore is a former Chair of Broadstairs and St Peters Town Council, has a lot of experience chairing councils and meetings, and I think he would make an excellent chair.
Right, thank you. So if we go for
Seconder for that one.
seconder. We're going to do an election show of hands. So those in favour of Councillor Owen Hughes?
Yep, thank you.
Those against?
No, it's not against. It's for Councillor Moore. It's for Councillor Moore. For Councillor Moore. Those for Councillor Moore. Because it's a two-way vote. So.
Right, those in favour of Councillor Moore? Right. So that's the... Any abstentions? Two. Right, I've lost my place. I hereby declare Councillor Owen Hughes has been elected to the office of Chair of Thanet District Council for the ensuing year. Right, I'm told I can do a little speech. First of all, I say to you that I feel like a person who's been to the dentist and has been told there's no fillings for the year. Before I rejoin the political ball game of snakes and ladders, I must thank your members for your patience. May I thank officers for being diligent on my behalf. So may I leave you with this thought. These are not my words, but the Dean of Canterbury, but I reflect the way it reflects the way I feel. In your relationship with others, exercise imagination, understanding and sympathy. Listen patiently and think whatever truth other people's opinion may contain for you. Think it is possible that you may be mistaken. In discussion, avoid hurtful and provocative language. Do not allow the strength of your convictions to betray you into making statements or allegations that may be unfair or untrue. Remember your responsibilities and do not shirk the effort and the time this may demand. Do not be content to accept things as they are, but to keep alert and question in mind. Seek to discover the causes of social injustice and fear. Working for an order of society which will allow women, men, young and the disabled to hold, flourish and foster their deserve to serve. Thank you. Right, hold on now. Right, please now be upstanding whilst the platform party retires for a few minutes in order to the chair to be invested with the chain and badge of office. Includes me.
Please be seated.
Sit down.
Thank you. I call upon the Chief Executive.
I invite Councillor Owen Hughes, as the Chair for 2024-25, to make the declaration of acceptance of office.
I, Deborah Owen Hughes, having been elected to the office of Chair of Thanet District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Sorry, technology. I'd like to give thanks to now past Chair, Councillor Edwards. Thank you, John, for diligently passing on the previous examples of council business and a fairly comprehensive account of who's who. This is a place where we discuss matters of Thanet and all that it entails. I gather it hasn't always been as cordial as it is now, but the past year, apart from mastering the lines seconded, I've seen collaboration and progress peppered with good humour on most sides, which can only be beneficial for the people of Thanet. I'm hopeful the next 12 months will be even more productive, more effective, and extremely constructive. Thank you. I'm to tell you that my escort is my fiancé, Derek Blackman, who is the best council officer we never had. Thank you. Agenda item 2, election of vice chair. Are there any nominations? Councillor Green.
Thank you. Before I make a nomination, I'd just like to take the opportunity to be the first person to congratulate you on your promotion. I'm going to nominate my fellow ward councillor, Councillor Anne-Marie Nixie. In doing so, as a school teacher, I'm sure she will have no trouble keeping order in this place. So I nominate Councillor Anne-Marie Nixie.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Scope. Are there any other nominations? Councillor Pugh.
Thank you. Although it may be a foregone conclusion, so I'll congratulate Councillor Nixie now. I would like to nominate Councillor Paul Moore for the position of Vice Chair.
I seem to remember this last year. I remember you well, Paul. Do we have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Cup. Any other nominations? Thank you. Okay, all those in favour of Councillor Anne-Marie Nixie, please show your hands. Thank you. And those in favour of Councillor Paul Moore, please show your hands.
And abstentions?
Thank you. Any abstentions?
Okay.
Thank you. I hereby declare that Councillor Anne-Marie Nixie has been elected to the office of Vice Chair of Thanet District Council for the ensuing year. Would you please be upstanding while the Vice Chair is invested with the badge of office? Please be seated. I call upon the Chief Executive.
I invite Councillor Nixie as the Vice Chair for 2024-25 to make the declaration of acceptance of office.
Thank you. I, Anne-Marie Nixie, having been elected to the office of Vice Chair of Thanet District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Thank you.
Councillor Nixie, would you like to say a few words and advise who will be your escort?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody in the Chamber. This is an absolute honour, as it is being in the Council itself and everything we do, so I do appreciate that, to take this role very seriously. As for an escort, I hadn't even thought of one. I'll come back to you on that. And I'd also like to say thank you again. I'm looking forward to working with you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I offer you my congratulations, and if you haven't got an escort, I have to tell you Paul Moore's around. I'll get you in somewhere, Paul. Okay, agenda item 3, apologies for absence. Sorry.
Councillor Bambridge.
Thank you. We've received apologies from Councillor Faruqi.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies from Councillor Dabrow and Councillor Donaldson.
Thank you. And Councillor Dennis, I understand? Thank you. Agenda item 4, minutes of previous meeting. I move that the minutes of the previous meeting of Council held on the 28th of March 2024 be approved. Would the Vice Chair please second?
Seconded.
You see, it's a task, isn't it? Do councillors agree that I sign the minutes as a true record? Agree. Thank you. Agenda item 5, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? Thank you. Agenda item 6, announcements. As a celebration of Thanet District Council turning 50, there will be a drinks reception after the meeting, which all councillors and officers are invited to. I believe it's downstairs, just downstairs underneath us, level 2. Agenda item 7, responsibility for functions, executive delegations. I call upon Councillor Everett.
Thank you, Chair, and welcome to your new role. The Cabinet for the following year obviously consists of myself as leader. Councillor Whitehead will look after housing as the Deputy Leader. Councillor Alban will be responsible for cleansing and coastal services. Councillor Yates for corporate services. Councillor Keane for community. Councillor Christian Bright for parking. And Councillor Duckworth for regeneration and property. Thank you.
Thank you. I call upon Councillor Pugh.
Thank you, Chair. Myself will be Shadow Leader. Councillor Cupp will be Shadow Deputy Leader. Councillor Bayford will shadow housing. Councillor Rattigan will shadow corporate services. Councillor Rogers will shadow cleansing and coastal services. Councillor Bambridge will shadow neighbourhoods. And Councillor Dawson will shadow parking.
Thank you. Council is asked to receive the Cabinet portfolios, Cabinet portfolio holders, Shadow Cabinet portfolio holders, operational accountabilities and executive delegated functions. Agenda item 8. Composition of committees, political balance, appointments to committees, panels and boards. Number and size of committees. I move that the number of committees and the number of members to serve on those committees, as shown in Table 2 of the report, be adopted, subject to the proportionality option agreed upon later in the agenda. Would the Vice Chair please second?
Seconded.
Do members agree? Thank you. Political party proportionality. I'm pleased to say that consensus amongst group leaders has been achieved, and so therefore I move that Council approves the proportionality between groups for committees, panels and boards as shown in option 3 of the report. Would the Vice Chair please second?
Seconded.
Thank you. Do members agree? Thank you. Nomination of members to serve on committees. Would members please note that the nominations to committees as shown in the members' notes. Elections of chair and vice chair of committees, panels and boards for the 2024-25 municipal year. I call upon the leader to move a list of nominations to chair and vice chair positions.
Thank you, Chair. I move the nominations to Chair and Vice Chairs as committee as shown in the Councillor's notes.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Pugh. Do members agree? Agree. Thank you. Standards Committee and Constitutional Review Committee. I move that Council agrees the extended appointment of Peter Tucker as an independent member until 2027. In addition, I further move that Peter Tucker be appointed as Chair of the Standards Committee and Constitutional Review Committee, that Peter Lorenzo be appointed as Vice Chair of the Standards Committee and the Constitutional Review Committee. Would the Vice Chair please second?
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you. Do members agree? Thank you very much. Agenda item 9, representation of outside bodies. I call upon the leader.
In respect of the non-executive outside bodies, I move the list of appointments which is included in the Councillor's notes.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Alban. Do members agree? Thank you. That concludes the business of this annual meeting of Council. Thank you very much. Okay. Welcome everyone, good evening. Members and officers of the Council, members of the press and public, I welcome you to this extraordinary meeting of the Council. I would advise, in fact I have to advise again, that if filming takes place in anyone in attendance in the public areas may have their image captured. I urge anyone filming proceedings to avoid filming members of the public, particularly if there are children present. Does anyone intend to film the meeting? Thank you. Any member, any member or any filming or recording will not be permitted for any item of business where exempt or confidential information is considered following the exclusion of the press and public from the meeting. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies of absence? Go through it again, please. Councillor Pugh, thank you.
Sorry, Chair. Councillor Banbridge, and now Councillor Rozecki.
Thank you. Councillor Curry?
Still Councillor Dabrow and Councillor Donaldson.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Councillor Dennis.
Thank you. Declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? Okay, agenda item 3, changes to Councillors' Allowances Scheme 2024-25. I call upon Councillor Yates.
Thank you, Chair. This item is being brought to this meeting asking Council to amend the Councillors' Allowance Scheme to include an additional Cabinet Portfolio Holder post and an additional Opposition Spokesperson role to the Special Responsibility Allowances Scheme. This is due to the appointment of Councillor Christian Bright as Cabinet Member for Parking. If agreed by Council, these proposals will be forwarded to the East Kent Joint Independence Remuneration Panel, ECJRP, for advice because any changes to the scheme need to be subject of consultation with the Joint Panel. The Remuneration Panel can then make recommendations back to Council. So recommendations. Number 1, Council is being asked to adopt the proposed 2024-25 Members' Allowances Scheme as set out in Annex 1 to this report, and to refer the scheme to the East Kent Joint Independent Remuneration Panel for them to consider. 2, to note that any recommendations from the ECJRP altering the proposed scheme will be reported back to Council for consideration. And 3, that if no recommendations are received from the ECJRP, to agree to delegate authority to approve the final scheme to the Section 151 officer. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Alban, thank you. Do councillors agree? Thank you. Agenda item 4, recommendations from Boundary and Electoral Arrangements Working Party. I move that the recommendations as set out in the report be adopted. Would the Vice Chair please second?
Seconded.
Thank you. Do councillors agree? Thank you. Agenda item 5, amendment to the calendar of meetings 2024-2027. I move that the recommendation as set out in the report be adopted. Would the Vice Chair please second?
Seconded.
Okay, Councillor Everett.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move an amendment and move the Cabinet meeting, which is due to take place on June the 27th, 2024, to Tuesday, June the 25th, with a 6 o'clock start. And for those of you who are puzzled as to why we might start at 6 o'clock, there's an England group game in Euro 24 that night, and I thought that a number of members and officers might prefer to see that than be in the Council chamber.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Scobie. Do members agree? Thank you. That concludes the business for this extraordinary meeting of Council. Thank you very much.